Okay, so today we're gonna deep dive into something I think we've all been through at some point or another.
Yeah.
Romantic rejection.
Right.
And how to deal with it.
Yeah.
How to bounce back, how to even maybe use it as a springboard for something better in your life.
Absolutely.
And what we have here is this really interesting scenario about this person, Jennifer.
Yeah.
She's got a big crush, and she puts herself out there, which is the first hurdle, I think.
Infinitely brave.
Yeah, exactly. But then she faces rejection, and we've all kind of been there, but it still stings.
Oh, absolutely does. And it's never fun to be on the receiving end of that.
Right.
But the good news is that a lot of the material we're looking at today actually gives some pretty solid strategies for navigating those feelings.
Okay.
Not just to bounce back and feel better, but to actually really use it as a point to kind of grow from.
I love that. Okay, so what's the first step? Like, what do we do when we're feeling all those icky feelings? The sadness and maybe the embarrassment.
Sure. So the first thing that a lot of these sources really emphasize is actually like kind of counterintuitive.
Okay.
It's to lean into those emotions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So rather than, trying to distract yourself or, pretend it didn't happen, actually acknowledge the hurt and, give yourself permission to really feel those feelings.
Okay.
And one of the sources even specifically mentioned journaling as a way to kind of process those emotions.
I've always felt like journaling was a little bit cheesy, but I've heard from so many people that it's actually really helpful.
It can be. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be this like, Dear Diary kind of thing.
Right.
It can be as simple as just like, jotting down some thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to, like I said, acknowledge what's going on internally.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because bottling it up, trying to just ignore it, that just kind of prolongs the pain.
Right.
One of the sources even compared it to like tending to a wound.
Okay.
You have to clean it out. You have to kind of address it before it can heal properly.
Okay. I like that analogy. That's really good. Yeah, so we kind of acknowledge it. We tend to occupate the wound.
Exactly.
But then what? Like, where do we go from there?
Well, so this is where it gets really interesting, because the next step that these sources talk about is focusing on self-growth.
Okay. Now, when you're, in the throes of, heartache and rejection, curling up in a ball and, watching sad movies, sounds a lot more appealing than, self-improvement.
Oh, absolutely. And it's totally fine to, take some time to grieve and process those emotions.
Right.
But eventually, the goal is to shift that focus inward.
Oh, yeah.
And to say, okay, you know what, this rejection, while painful, can actually be a really valuable opportunity for growth.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, it's like this wake up call. It's a chance for Jennifer in this case to really reconnect with her own values, with her aspirations, the things that truly matter to her.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a passion project that she's been putting off or a personal goal that she's kind of neglected.
Right.
This could be the perfect time to kind of revisit those things.
I love how you frame that, using this rejection as a launching pad.
Yeah.
Not a pit stop.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, this door closed, but what other amazing doors are now, swinging open?
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming your narrative, This experience doesn't have to define Jennifer. It can empower her to redefine what she seeks in a partner and in life.
So true. And speaking of empowerment, another thing that these sources really hit on is the importance of healthy support.
Yes.
Jennifer doesn't have to go through this alone.
Absolutely not.
Leaning on those trusted friends and family, that can make all the difference.
It really can. And this actually ties into a really crucial point that I think is worth emphasizing.
Okay.
Which is remembering that your self-worth is not tied to romantic relationships. It's so easy, especially in our society with all the pressures and messages we get,
right,
to fall into that trap of believing that our value is determined by someone else's romantic interest.
Yeah.
But that's just simply not true.
Yeah.
Building genuine self-esteem comes from within and from nurturing those connections that truly matter.
Yeah. So, it's so easy to get caught up in that romantic, ideal and think that, that's where we're going to find our happiness.
Right.
But really, there's so much more to life than that. And focusing on ourselves and the things that bring us joy and the people that love us and support us.
Absolutely.
That's really where it's at.
Couldn't agree more.
So let's bring this all back, to our listeners. What can we learn from Jennifer's experience? How can we apply these insights to our own lives?
That's a great question. And, I think the key takeaway here is that rejection, while painful, doesn't have to be the end of the story.
Yeah.
It can actually be a really powerful catalyst for growth and for change. So, if you're going through something similar, whether it's romantic rejection or any kind of setback,
yeah,
remember those steps that we talked about.
Right.
Allow yourself to feel those emotions.
Yeah.
But then shift that focus inward. And think about, what are some things that I can do to nurture myself, to grow, to reconnect with my own values.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to reach out for support.
Yeah.
Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, a therapist.
Absolutely.
Having that support system can make a world of difference.
Yeah. And maybe it's even taking that time to reconnect with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's finally committing to that project that you've been putting off, or reaching out to a friend who always makes you feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
It's not just about bouncing back. It's about using this experience to propel yourself forward.
I love that. And as a final thought, I'd encourage everyone listening to really use this experience as an opportunity to define what you're looking for in a partner. What are those non-negotiables for you?
Yeah.
What values are most important? What kind of relationship do you really want to build?
Right.
Because, this experience, while tough, might just be the catalyst for creating something truly extraordinary.
I love that. That's a great point to end on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all that really insightful stuff today.
My pleasure.
All right, and to all of our listeners out there, keep those hearts open. Keep putting yourself out there. And remember, rejection doesn't define you. It refines you. All right, we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.